All right, so we're back with another deep dive. And this time we've got something a little different. A lot of times we're digging into pretty complex stuff, but this one's all about the fundamentals. And I gotta say, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely. A bit of a change of pace for us, but sometimes going back to basics can be incredibly insightful, especially when it's done in a really clever way like this.
Exactly. So for anyone tuning in for the first time, basically what we do here is we take stuff that you guys are interested in and really try to unpack it. Find those hidden gems and those thought-provoking angles that maybe you wouldn't catch on a first glance. And for today's deep dive, we're tackling something you sent our way, which is an article aimed at helping people learn A1 level English. But what really caught our eye was how it goes about it. The whole approach is fascinating.
Yeah, it's not your typical language learning material.
Yeah.
Right from the start, it uses these psychological hooks to grab your attention. And it's not just about memorizing words. It's about making you feel something, connecting with you on an emotional level.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so effective.
Right. So let's start with that hook, because it's brilliant. The article starts off by asking these questions that are probably pretty familiar to anyone who's ever tried to learn a new language. Things like, do you ever feel left out of conversations in English? Or maybe you know the words, but when you try to speak, it's like your brain just freezes up. I mean, they're hitting on those universal anxieties right there.
Absolutely. It's like they're speaking directly to those moments of frustration. And then it does something really interesting. It kind of shifts the blame. Instead of making you feel like you're the problem, it suggests that maybe it's not you. It's the way you've been trying to learn.
That's such a great point because it immediately takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
You're not a failure. You just haven't found the right approach yet.
Exactly. And that leads into this whole concept of living words instead of just memorizing them. And that's a huge distinction.
Yeah, like it's one thing to know the definition of a word, but it's something else entirely to actually use it naturally in a real conversation, to understand the nuances and the emotions behind it, right? It's like the difference between knowing the ingredients for a cake and actually baking it and tasting it. You don't truly understand something until you experience it. And that's what this article tries to do. It wants you to live English, not just study it.
And it does that by taking you through an entire day from morning till night using only simple A1 level vocabulary. So let's jump into the story itself and see how it all unfolds, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the story starts with the morning begins, and at 6:30 a.m., the alarm clock goes off, you open your eyes, stretch your arms. I mean, it's so basic.
Right.
But even these tiny actions are starting to build that connection between English words and your everyday life.
Yeah, and the article throws in that little thought, let's go, which is something so many of us probably mutter to ourselves when we're still half asleep. Like the little internal monologue we all have. But now it's in English. Exactly. And then it moves into the bathroom, washing your face, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, looking in the mirror and maybe thinking, not looking bad today. It's such a routine set of actions, but now you're experiencing it all through the lens of simple English phrases.
And that's the brilliance of it. Yeah. It's taking these mundane activities that we all do without even thinking and turning them into opportunities to engage with the language.
So then we're off to the kitchen, boiling water, making tea, toasting bread, frying an egg, adding a little salt. It's like they're appealing to all your senses. You can practically smell the breakfast cooking.
And they even throw in that detail about checking your phone while you're eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And you get a message from a friend. It says, let's meet today. So now we're introducing a little social interaction, even at this early stage.
Which is so important because language is ultimately about communication.
Right.
It's not just about knowing words in isolation. It's about using them to connect with other people.
Absolutely. So next up we have getting ready. And this is where we start to see a little more detail. You open your cupboard, you choose your favorite shirt and pants, you put on clean socks, you polish your shoes. These are all those little things you do to get ready for the day. And again, they're all described using simple A1 level English.
And then you glance out the window. It's a sunny day, there's a blue sky, the air feels fresh. It's like they're bringing in those little details to paint a picture in your mind.
Yeah, and then you grab your bag and keys, you leave your home, and you start walking to the bus stop. And as you're walking, you see a dog chasing a cat, and you laugh. And then you wave at a neighbor and say, "Good morning."
See, that's what I love about this. It's not just a list of words. It's a story.
Yeah.
And it's a story that feels relatable. These are things that could happen to anyone.
Exactly. And that good morning is such a classic example of a high-frequency phrase that you need to know in English. It's simple, but it's essential. And now it's stuck in your head because you've seen it used in a natural context.
So now we're on the way. You get on the bus, you find a seat by the window, you look out and see the road and the cars and the bikes and the people walking. It's all about observing the world around you and starting to label those things in English.
And you're listening to music with your earphones, and the music makes the ride feel short. It's a small detail, but it adds to the immersiveness of the experience.
Then you arrive at your destination. It could be school or the office. You smile at the receptionist and say, hello. You go to your desk, you turn on your computer, and you start working.
Again, it's all about those simple, everyday actions that we often take for granted. But now they're being presented as opportunities to practice your English.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the main takeaway for you so far in terms of how this approach is different from traditional language learning methods?
Well, it's making English feel less abstract and more connected to real life. It's not about memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists. It's about experiencing the language in a way that feels natural and authentic.
Yeah, I completely agree. So now we move into work or study time. And this section is interesting because it kind of splits into two parallel scenarios, depending on whether you're a student or a working professional.
Right. So if you're at work, you might be checking your email, replying to messages, typing, reading, writing, joining a meeting with your team, listening carefully, taking notes, sharing an idea, and maybe getting some positive feedback like, great job.
And if you're at school, it might be the teacher entering the classroom, opening a book, asking a question. You raise your hand, you answer the class, claps, and you feel proud.
And that feeling of pride is so important because it shows that you're actually engaging with the material.
Yeah.
You're not just passively absorbing it. You're actively participating and feeling a sense of accomplishment.
And then, of course, it's time for lunch break. You go to the canteen, you buy some rice and chicken and a cold drink, you sit down with your friends, you talk about your weekend, you laugh at jokes, you take a selfie, and you feel happy.
It's all about those simple pleasures and those social connections that make life enjoyable. And again, it's all being described using basic A1 level vocabulary.
And then the afternoon rolls around. You're feeling a little tired, so you drink some water, you finish up your tasks, you ask a friend for help, and they say, sure. You check the clock, it's 5 p.m., you pack your bag, you stand up, and you leave. It's the end of the work day or the school day.
And then we transition into the evening routine. You arrive home, you kick off your shoes, you sit down on the sofa, you turn on the TV, you watch a funny show, you relax.
Yeah.
You scroll through social media, you like some posts, you call your mom, and you have a chat.
And your mom tells you to eat on time and rest well, which is probably something every mom says no matter what language they speak. It's that universal mom wisdom.
Exactly. And then you prepare dinner. You boil some vegetables, you cook some rice, you eat while watching YouTube. And then there's this really clever little moment where you see a video teaching English and you recognize it.
It's like breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
It's that meta moment where you realize that you're actually living the very thing that you're learning about.
It's a really cool way to reinforce the idea that English is becoming a part of your everyday life.
And then finally, it's nighttime. You go to your room, you change into your pajamas, you brush your teeth again, you set your alarm clock, you lie down on your bed, you close your eyes, you think about your day, and then you whisper to yourself, I lived this whole day in English.
That's such a powerful statement because it encapsulates the entire journey. You started the day with those simple actions of waking up and stretching, and now you've come full circle. You've experienced an entire day through the lens of English.
And then the article ends with a list of all the words you learn, 100 daily A1 words. It's like a tangible reminder of everything you've accomplished, just by following along with this one simple story.
And it really drives home the point that you don't need to memorize endless lists of vocabulary words.
Yeah.
You can learn them naturally by simply immersing yourself in the language.
And then there's a call to action. It encourages you to keep building your English one life story at a time. It's like they're saying this is just the beginning. There's a whole world of language out there waiting for you to explore it.
And that's what I find so inspiring about this approach. It makes language learning feel accessible and achievable. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking those small steps every day and building your confidence one story at a time.
So what do you think? What's the biggest takeaway for you from this deep dive?
I think it's the power of storytelling and relatability in language learning. It's not about dry grammar rules or abstract concepts. It's about connecting with the language on an emotional level and experiencing it in a way that feels authentic and meaningful.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How could this approach be applied to other areas of learning? Could we use storytelling to make history or science or math more engaging and easier to understand?
That's a really interesting question. It definitely makes you think about the potential of this method to transform the way we learn and retain information.
And that's what we love to do here on The Deep Dive, to make you think, to spark those new ideas and those new perspectives. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you.
Absolutely. Curiosity is the key to unlocking a whole world of knowledge and understanding. So keep those questions coming, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
See ya!